Welcome. Did you experience trauma as a kid? And has this hindered your relationships in some way? Are you ready to learn a little bit more about healing your inner child? If you are, then you're in the right place. Thank you, Kathy, for being here. And thank you to those who are either listening or watching. My name is Mandi Gardner, and I'm the founder of Holistic Evolution Shala. I'm here with Kathy Sanderson, and she is with the Inner Child Healing, and she has a Facebook group and she hosts retreats. All right, Kathy. So you've helped so many people heal their inner child, and I wonder if you would be willing to share what exactly is inner child work and why connecting with that part of ourselves is so essential for trauma recovery.
So the inner child is the part of us that as a child didn't feel heard, didn't feel wanted, didn't feel understood, didn't feel seen, didn't feel that they mattered. So we've all got an inner child. But for the people who can relate to those words which I just said, more often than not, our inner child shuts down, or we shut down our emotional capabilities aged around 6 to 7. And that's why we become the type of person who can't emotionally regulate, reverts back to that child, because it's like we were stunted, who can't deal with problems from an adult perspective, takes everything to heart, everything must be because of them, takes everything personally. Inner child is that part of us that still takes everything personally, because as a child, we just can't see anything other than egotistically. So we can't have an appreciation that mum and dad have been fighting for since we were born, and that's the reason dad's left, not the fact that he told you to tidy your room and you didn't, and then the next thing you come home from school and he's not there. That type of thing. So as an adult, we'd know mum and dad were fighting, maybe mum had an affair, maybe dad had an affair, maybe they just couldn't live together. But as a child, the only thing that we can see is I didn't tidy my room and now dad's gone and I'm to blame. It's all my fault, that kind of thing. So inner child work is powerful in two ways, because quite often it hurts you to remember that time as a child. So we do everything as adults to not remember it, whether that is drink, alcohol, addiction, shopping, getting new shoes, new handbags, but everything so that we don't remember what it felt like to be a child. But if you can think about that, if we think about the inner child as a different entity, you're constantly telling your inner child that you were no good, because you don't want to remember that time. You want to shut it away in a box. It's too embarrassing. It hurts too much, that type of thing. So when we do inner child work, it has two main benefits. It merges you into your inner child. Your inner child and you become one. It's not, oh my God, that's so embarrassing, or that was so traumatic, or I'm never ever going there. You become that one thing. And you also realize that those things that you thought happened to you, you're not that person anymore. So whereas as a child you had no say in what was going on in your life, you do now as an adult. Once you've reached the age of 16, you can leave home, you can get a job, you can get your own money, you can get your own place. But because of our emotional capabilities being shut down as a child through whatever trauma we experienced or perceived, then we can't see that actually those things going on around us we can deal with, because we couldn't deal with them as a child.
I think what I took away from that the most is that by not looking at it, we're kind of rejecting that part of ourselves. And by allowing ourselves to look at it allows us to come to a place of acceptance, which is part of that healing process, right?
You know, when you're growing up, you don't feel like you fit in. You don't feel like you matter. These are the people who have inner child wounds, but you don't feel like you
Mhm.
matter. You feel that everyone else is so important. You're not pretty enough, you're too fat, you're too ugly, all of those types of things. So we are just really keeping that going by keeping our inner child, shutting that box. No, you're hurtful, you're dangerous, you're scary, you're not coming out.
When it comes to the role of community in healing, you put together this beautiful Facebook group and you come together in these retreats in person. You've really built a strong community of people of all different paths as well as trauma survivors. How important is it for people to heal in a supportive community? And how does that collective energy really help us in the healing process?
It helps us hugely. When you have a healing, there's only yourself and that healing energy. When you're together in a community, when you're together in a group healing, everybody's energy is there, but not only everybody's energy, but everybody's intention. So everybody's intention is there to meet with their inner child, to be able to deal with those issues from childhood, maybe just one, but to actually start to address our inner child and come together and show our inner child the compassion that we show everybody else. So when you think about everybody, say like there's 20 people in a workshop, then those 20 people have that power of intention, which is then amplified. So the healing that happens when I take you back to reconnect with your inner child is deep, is profound, because it's amplified. But the thing with community, especially when we've got inner child wounds, is we didn't feel part of a community as a child. We didn't have those people that we could go to. So by creating this community now within our camping and healing group, is people feel heard, people feel seen, but they also know that they have that support. They're with people who are doing the same thing or have done the same thing or are on that path, and they can support each other. And it's that support which is powerful, because like I said, you didn't get that. No one got you. No one understood what you were going through. Everyone thought that you were being a little ninny, whinge. No one understood. But in a community, everyone's there to see you and to see you heal, to see you become the best version that you're able to be at that time.
Yeah, that's beautiful. I definitely can relate to that in my own healing journey, how important it was to have safe connections, people who understood and possibly could relate to what I had experienced. It was very validating. When you come from a really invalidating home environment, it can be challenging, right? And so when you finally find people who you're like, oh, because I do know that part of my experience was feeling, why is this still affecting me? And what's wrong with me? And why shouldn't I just get over this? Kind of really beating myself up and being able to have another person relate to it. Like, wow, I'm not the only one suffering with this, and it's not just me. But really helps to open this up a little bit and offer a sense of ease, I guess, because it just helps with that connective piece. So, as far as creating safe spaces for this really deep healing, this inner child work, your retreats offer a safe space for participants to heal. What are the key elements that create the safe space that allow people to really open up and to explore this?
So we're really lucky. We've got 25 acres here in southwest Wales. So just being in
Amazing.
nature is so healing. In the UK at the moment, there's actually a prescription of nature, being in nature. It's noted how important it is. So I think that opens up the whole healing thing. But I think, so my journey of childhood trauma isn't the same as somebody else's who's gone through sexual abuse, emotional abuse, those types of things, where they would have been taken away by social services or a social worker. I've still felt those same emotions. So sometimes people don't understand why they're feeling the way that they do, because they haven't had those experiences that people think about when people say childhood trauma. And I've had people say to me, oh my God, you had it so much better than me. What on earth do you have to be upset about? But by acknowledging how my inner child felt and why, and by telling my story, it enables people to actually relate to the things that went on in their childhood that maybe they didn't think, well, they know it hurts, but they didn't know it was wrong. They just thought they were too sensitive, type thing. So actually hearing somebody say, well, that happened and it was wrong, and these are the reasons why it was wrong, they're like, oh my God, that's why it felt so strange. That's why it hurt. That's why it didn't feel right. And by giving people the opportunity to share, that creates that safe space. What I teach in my workshops is the ability to connect with your inner child in a way that once you've done it, you can't stop. You can just close your eyes and your inner child's there. I think inner child healing is imperative to begin your healing journey. And I want everyone to be on their healing journey. So by providing these techniques and the self-help to start building that relationship with your inner child. So when you come up against blocks that you can't get through, you come to me, or you come to somebody like me, or you go to a different kind of therapist. But to give you those bits that you can do every day, like saying good morning to your inner child when you wake up. Did someone say that to you in the morning? No. You just rolled down for your breakfast. What did you dream about? Tell me about your dreams. Imagine how important you would have felt if someone wanted to know your dreams as a child. It would just tell you, wouldn't it, that actually what's happening to you matters. So if you can start to build that relationship with your inner child so that they actually feel like they do matter, then that's something that you're doing daily to build that relationship, which is helping in turn to heal you. And that's why what we do is so powerful, because what we teach is always self-empowerment, not reliance on others.
Yes, I think that's beautiful. And I completely agree with that. Really trying to tap into your inner authority and making yourself the final say, right? And not just looking to others for answers all the time, right? Because ultimately, we do have everything we need in our hearts, right? All the love that we can provide others, we can provide for ourselves too.
By teaching your little one that what they have to say is important, that somebody is listening, it encourages the little one to keep digging for answers, for keep trying, to keep bringing forward their intuition, so that you will be more confident with your intuition and listening to your inner voice, so that you can find those answers within. It's a
Yeah.
whole kind of healing circle.
Thank you so much for sharing everything. I can imagine that your retreats in Wales are just fantastic and fun and such a wonderful place to be to help tap into that inner child. So I wonder, would you tell the people who are watching and listening to our conversation today, let them know where they can find more information about you and your retreats?
Fantastic, thank you. Yes, you can find me on communitygatherings.uk. That's our website. I'm really big on Facebook. I am a typical Facebook mum, my children tell me. So you can find me on Facebook, Kathy L. Sanderson. And you can also look for the Community Camping and Healing Gatherings Facebook group and see what we do on there too.
Awesome. Well, thank you. Thank you so much, Kathy. And thank you to all of those who took the time to watch and listen.